Hello and welcome to Brocky Mountain Movies. I'm your host, Rocky Mountain Brock, and I have just come back from seeing Zootopia 2. And I'm going to go ahead and be 100% honest with you. My- I had this original idea that I would go ahead and say that my book that I wrote, published, all that good stuff, The Saddlebag Chronicles, Cinder Rabbit, now available on Amazon, was leaps and bounds better than Zootopia 2. I would, of course, have been lying and said something to the narrative of that Disney was Goliath and I was the parenthetical David. In addition, while Disney was marketing the film or whatever, I would say something to the tune of, while Goliath was shouting and yelling his threats and bolstering about his strength, David was choosing his stones. I will point out that in the true form of reality, I was doing the Jim Carrey, John Wickian practice of giving myself an impossible task or writing a big unrealistic check for myself to then, once I am in the impossible situation, to somehow get through it and achieve my goals out of the sheer you have to. What what I forgot what was that, well, with God all things are possible, and with two sometimes they're not only possible, they are insultingly easy. So, you might be thinking, Brock, why do you think that your book is inherently better than Zootopia 2? Well, let me put it this way. Both of us had 9 years to create a new project. Yours was Zootopia 2, mine was The Saddleback Chronicles Cinder Rabbit. The difference between the two is that Disney had a budget of about $250 million with a B dollars and all the resources of a multi-billion dollar company. I mean, and you can tell that with the project, they just threw money at it. They have Michael J. Fox voicing a character called Michael V. Fox. He has like one line in the entire movie. You just did it because you could do it. The difference is that with this book, I had 3 grand and a ham sandwich. And not and yeah, the products, when put side by side, there's a clear winner. So, Brock, you might be asking, do you have any, actual opinions, like as to why Zootopia 2 was disappointing? Well, let's start off with the plot. As it turns out, while they're keeping it under wraps, it's a land expansion. There's a family in Zootopia called the Lynxleys who are planning on expanding Tundra Town territory an, into a different neighborhood, displacing all the people that live there. Now, if that plot sounds familiar, it's because it's the plot of Frozen 2. Frozen 2, the movie where the documentary about making the movie was infinitely more interesting than the movie itself. The one where instead of thinking you had 6 years to make it, the animation team only had 8 months, and the ending result was a film with two different ideas trying to juggle each other when ultimately they just threw them both together and had to patch everything up out of sheer here. We didn't have enough time to make anything better. Yeah, that's almost exactly how it reads with the original. You, in addition, seems as though with Zootopia 2, there's lot of Easter eggs and cameos, and like I said, you probably noticed that there's like a Ratatouille Easter egg, the Michael V. Fox thing. Again, plus there's the new introduction of Nibbles Maplewood, who is a conspiracy theorist and is basically a beaver for the sake of the fact that they're about to make a film Hoppers, which a person becomes a robotic beaver. You can tell they're focusing more on synergy than actual, story or originality or trying anything new, which is which is a problem because recently Disney seems scared of actual success. And a couple of other spoilers as to why I'm disappointed. You know how the preview that where there's like this dark brooding figure kind of looks like Death from Puss in Boots 2, the Last Wish, and how he's kind of marketed as like Death, this great presence over them, and you're kind of excited because for the longest time now Disney's going to try having an actual villain. It's a twist villain. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't even have to tell you who the twist villain is. I just have to say it's a twist villain and you automatically know who it is because it could only be one person. Uh, It's that badly written. When you're trying to do a whole new art crime thriller thing where, you know, it's a who done it or who's the mastermind pulling the strings. There's got to be like either multiple suspects of who could be doing it or whoever, or in the first one, whoever's doing it is doing it so oh, low under the radar, you walked right past them. Here, I just have to tell you twist villain, and you're immediately going to figure out who it is just by watching it. But, elephant in the room. Maybe you don't care about any of that in story. You're more focused on the real thing. Hops and Wild. Wild and Hops. D- What happens to them in the film? Well, you get a love confession, and by love confession, you get a Nick saying that had Judy is his pack, and Judy telling Nick that had he's her family. It's weird because it's clear in the entirety of the film they are kind of teasing the romance between the two of them, but in the first one they had actual flirting and they were working with the whole ambiguity of everything. Here it's just Nick tells Judy that he loves her, but let's face it, as someone once said, for Fox's sake, kiss the bunny, please. You keep teasing us, and you're never actually going to deliver. And that's the thing. This film doesn't really deliver much. So, what about the, say, new characters or the mystery itself? Well, I kind of figured the beaver would be annoying, but she's a solid addition. It's, in a sense, if she has to be along for the adventure, it's fine. Though they almost kill her and they never say how they brought her back. That's that one was just lazy writing. And the second part is Gary the Snake. D. E. Snake. That's his name. So, how is he? Where does he fit in all this? Well, he is kind of the person that was originally displaced. So, oh, he's trying to bring reptiles back to Zootopia. You know, not something that's whatever. Uh, The other problem with it is that since we don't spend a whole lot of time with Gary, we don't get a whole lot of who he is as a character or enough time to really. We don't give it enough of time with Gary to really care about him. I mean, he's decent. He's decent. He's a decent person, but he hasn't given anything to really stand out. He's not given any funny lines. He's not given anything to really work with. He's just very much a plot device. And the second part is you kind of figure out the plot almost immediately. Like with the original, there's the whole night howler. Think people are going savage, and that's all you really need to know. All you know, because you have to keep digging around and finding out what really is going on. Here, you immediately figure out that there there's a land grab. It happened before. It's gonna what happened the first time. Y- for a mystery, you can pretty much figure out where everything's going fairly quickly and easily. Oh, and what I find to be the real disappointment is that when you compare the original that as I've said on numerous occasions, was good enough to be he put in a sociology classroom as part of its curriculum based on how it addresses things and issues. The fact that you're boiling it down to a movie that was considered ultimately mediocre at best is does not make me angry. It just leaves me and several other people who will watch it disappointed. However, what won't be disappointing is S- the Saddleback Chronicles, Cinder Rabbit. It, I wrote this as a way to be Disney before Disney started, being afraid of success and bowing to their opponents. No, no, no. I'm going to point this out. You know how this summer you had the whole Elio, your Pixar movie, going up against live action in How to Train Your Dragon, and how you just gave How to Train Your Dragon the weekend, bowing like a dog. You're you're friggin' Disney, and you bowed down. It's like I said, my original plan was to point out how I am David and you are Goliath, and how what unsimple person trying their best and doing and putting some actual effort and heart and everything you actually taught us to do before you lost yourself can actually make a difference. When did you forsake yourself? When did you start getting afraid of success? When did you lose hope? Plain and simple. So anyway, the Saddleback Chronicles, if you were wondering, is pretty simple. A fox meets a rabbit and takes her to the fire festival, which is a festival of all foxes, and there's more food than anyone could eat, and everyone dances through the entire night. But underneath the plot are themes of, grief, identity, self discovery. And you know what's worse? I purposefully made the decision to make my main two characters just a couple kids trying to save each other. And I will forever stand by that. You, however, had 9 years, $250 million, and all the resources in the world, and you can't even skip a rock. I had one rock, so I skipped it. And what? And let's face it. If you were waiting 9 years for, and that's the biggest insult of all, the fact that if Nick and Judy actually get together in the third one, because let's face it, this one's going to be successful. And because Disney loves money, they're going to make a third one. And let's face it, if they get together, actually, because they realize that's the only way, hey, the third one's actually going to going to be successful. This movie will ultimately be skipped. Just like Frozen 2, if Frozen 3 comes out, and just like The Incredibles 2 will be skipped if Incredibles 3 comes out. You are making trilogies where the second movie can easily be skipped and you lose nothing. That's not how you make art. Just isn't. I'm Rocky Mountain Brock, and God bless. That's not how you make